Brandon Odoi, footballhotbed.com. We go in depth. Pleased to be joined today by a very, very special guest, Mr. Larry Williams. He is the chair of the Miami Northwestern Alumni Association, and it is a very unique time to be able to sit down and have a conversation with him. There are many things that are in the news, many things happening around Miami Northwestern and Miami-Dade County schools. So, Mr. Williams, thank you for joining us today and joining me and talking to me. We've been acquainted for so many years. You're a very significant figure in the South Florida football community and the community in general. But I'm not too sure very many people actually know what your position is, the impact you've had. How would you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. I don't want to sound too braggadocious, but I've been giving back to my community for over 30 plus years. I've served 3 school board members, the first being Solomon Stinson, your fraternity brother, the first one that threw me to the fire, serving on the Dade County Athletic Advisory Committee. I served on that committee for well over 10 plus years. And then Dorothy Benjoff-Mendengal continued my service under her leadership as well. And currently now I serve Dr. Steve Gallen on the ABC Boundary Committee. So I've been appointed for 3 different board members to look out for the community in that capacity. So I took over the Alumni Association in about 1996. Prior to that, I came back to Miami in 1987, where I was in the hospitality industry. And because I was a former track guy at Northwestern under Louis Bing, I wanted to make sure I could help the track program. That's how it kind of got started. Coach Calvin Jackson happened to be the coach at that particular time. And I would just take food, give it to the young men so they would have decent food at track meets and things like that. And actually, I got talked into this. This wasn't a plan of mine. 2 of my classmates, Ray Jean Lee, who has transitioned, she's like a sister to me, and Sherella Miller Everett, they kind of talked me into running for alumni president. I came with a management background, graduated from Florida A&M School of Business and Industry, and also I finished financial planning school at Barry University. So from there, we just tried to organize the Alumni Association to be more of a nonprofit organization, more structure, things of that nature. So that's kind of how I got involved with it. My passion for the school, I love it to death. I call myself a bull rat, which is a bull and a rattler. That's a terminology we use with around other rattlers. But that's kind of how I got involved. I'm an agitator and liberator. I believe in agitation because agitation gets the dirt out of the clothes. So when there's dirt, you agitate, then you liberate. So I understand the significance of some of the controversy today about things that young people need in sports and athletics in general. So that's kind of a short version of who I am.
Recently, you stepped down from the Alumni Association board. You mentioned you had been engaged in that philanthropy and that service for some 30 years. Why did you step down a few weeks ago, and what were the implications and contributing factors that led to that?
Well, I stepped down temporarily. I'm back in gear just to think this through. Of course, as well, I had a vacation plan, and my wife didn't want me to take that luggage overseas with us. But I'm back in the saddle. I had a meeting last night with the executive boards to plot where we're moving. But the reason I stepped down was there were some accusations made that I didn't want the alumni to take responsibility for. So if you single me out and say, in this particular case, Larry Williams stealing money, My attitude is always be, if you think I'm stealing, call the police. I have no problem. I've been around money all my life. I'm not a multi-millionaire, but I can rub two quarters together when need be. And I've told many people I live like Rockefeller on my budget. So I'm happy. Money doesn't drive me anymore. I'm a different man as life goes on. You change. When I was younger, I was money hungry. I mean, that's the American way, and I don't deprive anyone from wanting to have that. But now I'm a grandfather. Hope my oldest son just got married. So there are other things that are shaping my life that I have to give credit to. So it was a temporary thing. I wasn't going to walk away from it because I hadn't done anything. So that's why I did what I did. But I hit the ground yesterday, as you're well aware, and we had an executive board meeting last night, a Zoom meeting, and I have full support of the executive board and the board of directors, and we're going to move forward and do the things that we've done for over 30 years for Miami Northwestern and other surrounding schools as well. We created a organization called I Care, Inner City Alumni for Responsible Education. So I Care, which comprises of Carroll City, New Orleans, Central Northwestern, Edison, and Booker T, we worked together for many years because there were things that, whether it was done intentionally or unintentionally, funding wasn't being given to those schools at the same level of other schools. So it's not just Northwestern. We try to serve the community in general, but of course my love and passion is Miami Northwestern. It meant a lot to me. It taught me the discipline in life. I sit in the classroom a lot of times, didn't even have air conditioning, but we love Northwestern so much, we never compromise those teaching environments because we loved our school, and the teachers that were at the institution taught us to love our institution.
Miami Northwestern has such a rich history, particularly in the black community of the great city of Miami. Part of that history, although not all of it, has to do with the prolific nature of the athletic programs you've been involved. You were a participant. You've helped and provided the firm footing and the financial support through your leadership on the Alumni Association board for many years. Mm-hmm. How did it feel to be publicly called out and questioned after so many years of faithful service?
I don't have a problem with it. That's bull nature. You have to understand what it's like. We're a unique group of people. We challenge each other all the time. The only thing that bothered me was, where's the proof? The same thing has happened with our athletic director. For the last 3 years, at least the last 3 years, this young man who was the quarterback of the first undefeated Miami Northwestern team post-integration, Andre Williams. A lot of people don't know that, but he played with Brett Perriman and Talbot Bain and many other great athletes. But what people don't realize, Miami Northwestern came out the box great. Roger Finney played in the 1969 Super Bowl. So we've been doing this a long time. Being great is not new to us. We challenge one another. But if you're going to challenge me with integrity, challenge me with facts, and I live with that. But just to blatantly make a statement that you can't substantiate, I work with money. I help people develop money. So when you attack me from that perspective, then I will respond. And because now you potentially take money out of my family's mouth, and that's where you cross the line there. So going back to Mr. Williams, our athletic director who has coming up this year 24 years as an athletic director in the Dade County Public School System. If that young man was stealing, he's the greatest thief of all time because he's worked at 3 schools, multitude of principals and assistant principals, business managers, and you know as well as I do today, basically it's a cashless situation. So how do you steal? Checks are cut for purchasing equipment or whatever the case may be. So again, we emotional, and I understand why the emotion exists, but let's be fair and equitable about what we say. If you want to throw things on the wall just to make it stick, that's all right. I can't get mad at them. That's what happens, but we good. Northwestern alumni is stronger than ever. We just started a chapter in Atlanta, Georgia. We were probably the first high school alumni to ever have a second chapter. So we have a chapter in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as we're working on trying to get a specialty tag for the school, the first high school to even petition the state of Florida to try to get a specialty tag to enable some of the things that Coach Bridgewater was talking about. So we don't run from it. I'm not running from it. I just felt like if you're going to make that attack, let me separate myself from the Alumni Association because I love it enough to say, okay, I can stand on my own 2 feet. I'm not ashamed of anything. I got 1099s. Anytime anybody want to challenge me, I got no problem with it. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, I'm no thief whatsoever. And I stand on that with Andre as well.
When you saw the post that was made national news from Coach Bridgewater detailing some of the financial contributions that he made out of his own pocket, and I think it's fair to say the request for the community to support it, what were your initial thoughts?
Job well done in the fact that he loves the children the way he loves the children. Structurally, I disagree with what he did because we have a booster club in play since 1996. So I understand Coach's passion for the young men. These are some things that we recognize. We don't talk about it as much because we don't do this for publicity. We have homeless people, homeless children at Northwestern every year. The school may say to us, we need some help. The mom and the parent may need somewhere to stay. We do what we got to do to help that child, but we just don't go on social media and talk about it. That's not our platform for that purpose. But those things have been going on in Liberty City for even when I was in school. You come up short for a meal, you may say, Coach, I need some money to get a lunch. Coaches do that. That's what coaches are supposed to do. I would think anything less of him if he wasn't doing that. So some of the things that he was doing, we wasn't aware of. So I don't wish him any ill will for that aspect of loving the young men that are on the team. He's supposed to, I would think he would do that. So I take my hat off for that. Unfortunately, when you put it in social media, then there are repercussions. And currently we're fighting some repercussions. It's amazing because we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We just met with the Florida High School Athletic Association. We met with the board member, vice chair, Ms. Colucci. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. And the reason that inquiry took place was because at the championship game, people were still trying to get in the game in the second quarter. Well, the Alumni Association has a mindset, you don't marginalize our community. Yes, Liberty City is one of the most underfunded communities in the city of Miami. But to have a championship game, knowing our pedigree as a high school, why would you only have 2 ticket takers at our game? So that game was probably one of the largest games ever played at FIU. So we reached out to the executive secretary of Florida High School Athletic Association, and we demanded an apology. He agreed. However, by March, he had not sent the apology. So we reached out to him again, and he told us he wasn't going to do that because he saw things on Facebook, how people were bragging about they jumped the fence and this and that. Well, at a minimum, people paid at least $10 to just to park. So I find it ironic that someone would drive all the way from Liberty City over to FIU and not have a football ticket. It just don't make no sense. But the fact that they were frustrated, okay, and their only remedy at that time of that frustration was, let's go through the gate. We tired of waiting. This is second quarter. This is a championship game. Our community is unique in this respect. Northwestern is our professional team and our college team for that community. A lot of people in the community may never get a chance to go to a Dolphin game, never go to a University of Miami game. So they have to understand the sensitivity of what we're dealing with. So we stood behind them. We 10 toes down. Look, you gave bad service. We want an apology. So that triggered a response from him where he said he wasn't going to do it.
And just for clarification, I
bring the letter with me.
Okay.
All right. So you would have that. Mr. Craig Damon, that's the letter, proof, receipts, that we definitely requested an apology. Well, we met once we found out who the president of the Florida High School Athletic Association, again, was the vice chair or is the vice chair of the Dade County Public Schools, Ms. Colucci. We met with her and her assistant first. I was accompanied by 3 other people. So that's another myth in the rumor. Mr. Bridgewater said that I went downtown and put pressure on the district to put pressure on Mr. Puka to get rid of him. That is incorrect. I'm not going to call him a liar because I don't know where he got that information from. It never happened. I wouldn't do that. Mr. Puka is somebody that I've been supporting through his journey as an educator. So we embraced his leadership when his time came to the school. So that
clarification, Mr. Puka is the
principal of the school. Right. He just took over. He just finished his first year. So going back to the letter, so we met with the board member, and she understood our concerns. She asked us will we come back and meet with Mr. Craig, and our initial response was no, because he didn't act in an honorable way. And there was what we're going to talk about, you being unhonorable. She said, well, would you come if I came? I said, yeah, we'll come only if you come to this meeting. So we met a second time, Dade County School Board, upstairs near her office. Mr. Craig came. He brought us a letter. When we read the letter, it did not have the word apology in it. We pushed it back to the board member and said, we're not going to accept this letter. Of course, she was a little startled by that, but we wanted the word apology in the letter. So when we closed out that meeting, she asked us, what else could we do? I said, well, a lot of your policies are antiquated, and I think it would be good for the Florida High School Athletic Association to have a dialogue with people with feet on the ground. One of the reasons I left the Dade County Athletic Advisory Committee was my frustration with the Florida High School Athletic Association, because a lot of people may not know, when you're in the playoffs, the Florida High School Athletic Association takes 25% of gross revenue, not net, gross. So what does that mean? That means they don't care about your expenditures, which can include the rental of the stadium, paying the referees, the buses, football buses, band buses, because we want a unique experience. When Northwestern plays a football game, we want our band there. Well, the district only allocates so many games. A lot of times that money has to come from booster clubs or alumni to help offset those young people getting to the games. So a lot of times we'll lose money and people don't recognize that in the playoffs. And I give you an example why, and you probably know better than I. When St. Thomas plays a state championship series and they have to play a state game, usually they travel the day of the game. When Miami Northwestern goes to a game, simply because a lot of our young people may have never been out of the city of Miami at this point in their life, the athletic director and the football coach, whoever that may be, because we won multiple championships. If we play a game on Friday, we may travel on Wednesday. So the cost that we incur for the extra days because of the experience for the young men and young women in the band and this and that, is different than a school that traditionally has more money than us. St. Thomas is a private school. You can't compare public and private. It's like night and day. Jesuit school, they got plenty backing. You know, we the pass the hat kind of mentality. Let's fry a fish sandwich and make it work. So we've made it work with small contributions, a lot of small contributions. We're just starting to get to the point where we're starting to make corporate America recognize what we do. But again, going back to the letter. So one of the last things we told the president of the Florida High School Athletic Association was that a lot of the policies and procedures were antiquated. So what Coach Bridgewater experienced, we had been talking about it behind closed doors. And of course, there's a lack of communication because he may have not known what we were doing, and vice versa. We didn't know what he was doing as well. But that is not unique to any coach that's ever coached at Northwestern. A child hungry or a young person needs to get a ride home. That's what you do if you're a coach at Northwestern. That's kind of what is expected of you. The only problem is maybe the platform that it happened on that created this controversy.
So let's talk about that. You mentioned the bull nature is, of course, prolific. It's a school that's on the precipice of potentially getting its own state license tag, which is something that I think is incredible. You have Alumni Association in Miami, in my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia as well. Super unique. You don't typically see that for a high school. You've got all of these awesome things that are taking place, but yet you particularly, and you weren't the only one, you get called out by the head football coach. There's a detail of contributions, which you have stated that you took no issue with. That's part of being a head coach, and that's pretty standard, that coaches have to go into their own pockets. But in the aftermath of that very public declaration and some subsequent messages, it's led to, at least, I think it's fair to say, some internal dialogue at Miami Northwestern, even to the point of you returning to South Florida and immediately getting on a Zoom call. What are you willing to say about, the nature of that and the path forward based on the events of the last several weeks?
Well, people get misinformation. When you get misinformation, and there's politics played in anything, once you're in the public, politics play a role. There are people that probably don't want me to be the chairman of the board of directors of Miami Northwestern alumni any longer. I get that. That's your right. If you're going to stand in these shoes, let's do it, and let's do it at 110%. But let's be man enough or woman enough to sit down and say, hey, I think you should step down. I got no problem with it because, like I say, I love the school and the organization that we've helped build without a problem. If you think I'm the issue, I step down. It's not a problem for me because I have other things that I can fight for, because that's just the nature. My mama taught me. She said, son, always have your hand open giving, because that's the only way someone can put something back in your hand to bring back. But if you always got your hand closed, you never get nothing. So I'm a giver by nature. My elder child wasn't fortunate enough to go to Miami Northwestern, but he went to school with some of the young men that have voiced some of their concerns for me. When they went to college in 1994 at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, they had their championship rings on. It was tough for him because he said to me, he said, Daddy, you act like you love them more than you do me. That was a tough situation because in actuality, I love him, I ain't gonna say equally because he's my blood, but I do love him. You know, guys like Wendell Ashley, Tyron Johnson, Oric Johnson Jr. These young men are young men that no doubt in my mind would stand up for my credibility. Anybody that knows me know I'm not going to steal no money. I've been negotiating with the district for years and years and years. Not one district personnel could say Larry Williams ever came down to the district and asked for anything on his personal behalf. Never happened. So I get it. They're frustrated because they don't know how to legislate this problem. Because of me throwing my hat in the fire, I've learned that bureaucracy moves slow. You just got to persevere, continue to do what needs to be done. I hold no ill will against people who said negative things against me because that's for the universe to judge them. I'm at peace with myself. I'm just sorry that it has gotten to this point. So it's like a relationship. You meet this fine young lady and then you realize you don't have a compatibility, or she's getting fed bad information from a group that don't want to see you successful. So that's pretty much what has happened.
So in all of those things that have taken place, now we sit at the precipice of yet another high school football season. There is a little bit of ambiguity about Coach Bridgewater, his future. Obviously, he's made a lot of public pronouncements. And because of all of the moving back and forth, we reached out to the FHSAA and even Mr. Damon's office. And they have an inquiry into Miami Northwestern and the district in consideration to some of the allegations that have been brought to their attention that were publicly confirmed by Coach Bridgewater's social media post.
Correct.
And the response from the FHSAA is they have yet to hear from the school regarding the email inquiries that were made as of a few days ago. You obviously had some meetings. The season is right around the corner. What should anyone know about what's happening at Miami Northwestern and what's taking place, and what is the future of Coach Bridgewater and the football program as you see it?
Well, I'm glad you clarified and said as I see it.
I've been doing this. Now, I'm not trying to tap myself on the back, but I have been doing this for quite a while and trained journalists as well.
Based on what I know, the inquiry by the school has been sent, okay? To the best of my knowledge, the coach hasn't responded to the Florida High School Athletic Association at this time, but the school did respond. That's where that term self-reporting comes in. People don't know what that means. That means that you're willing to work with the school. There's sometimes schools just take a hard stand and say, I ain't doing nothing, and that creates more hostility and whatever the case may be. But the school is in alignment with what they've asked to be done. Downtown is in alignment with what the school is being doing.
And downtown meaning the greater Miami.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about
Miami-Dade Public Schools.
Miami-Dade Public Schools. So let me explain how this works, because there's a lot of moving parts people, again, may not know about.
A lot of bureaucracy.
You have Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Their athletic arm is called the GMAC. You have the Florida High School Athletic Association. And on the federal level, you got Title IX. Okay? A lot of people don't consider that, but Title IX dictates that the girls' sports must match the boys' sports in a number of programs that you have. Usually, female athletics doesn't generate the revenue, so revenue has to be, your football program is probably 90% of your revenue for all sports. So when people say that the AD is not giving all the money back to the school or whatever the case, that's not true. But he has a mandate by GMAC, Florida High School Athletic Association, and the federal government under Title IX. People don't think about those things. One of the reports, in my conversation with him one time, they came in, and we have a tremendous baseball coach. He's a do-it-now kind of guy. He does it on his own. He don't sit around and wait and, the sky's black or whatever the case may be. he has a well-manicured baseball field, okay? The softball program needed a little upgrade. The people from Title IX made it clear to the AD, we come back and see this disparity in the appearance, there could be a problem. So when you in that position, there's a multitude of moving parts, and everybody has their own legislation. GMAC controls Miami Northwestern game 0 through game 10. Playoffs start, Florida High School Athletic Association takes over. So you have two entities that's controlling the same sport depending on where they are in the season or if they're in the playoffs. A lot of people don't understand that. So, and then also you got the governmental regulations, as I stated before, in dealing with Title IX. So
let me ask you this.
Let me just finish this point,
okay.
if I may. The school has complied to the request, and I'm quite sure when the Florida High School Athletic Association gets that, they'll do whatever they feel deemed necessary. And one other part, if I may, now you have the Department of Education for the state of Florida chiming in. Well, where have you been all these years?
And to be clear, that's through letters that have been sent
Correct.
from legislators.
Well, that's not the legislature, that's the Department of Education.
FDLE.
Right. The Florida High School Athletic Association was created by the legislators and the governor of the state of Florida.
Correct. And their jurisdiction is a state law.
Correct.
That's part of state statute.
Right. So when you want to be a head coach, you got multiple layers you have to deal with. You have to deal with Dade County schools, because either you're going to come in as a coach that teaches class, or you come in as a contractual coach, which means you have no educational requirements in regards to teaching anybody, but you, as a contract coach, you basically coach the sport that you contract. Football is the only sport in Dade County, because it may be different than Broward. I mean, this thing is a riddle in a riddle, and people don't understand. Dade County and Broward County are right next to each other, but they have different requirements.
Absolutely. So,
with the coach, you have the contractual coach or educational coach. Coach Bridgewater is the first coach in the history of Miami Northwestern who was not a academic person first and a coach second, because coaching is a supplement, it's not your job. We're not like Georgia, Alabama, Texas. Those guys get paid strictly to coach football. Our state is so far behind with the greatest talent level in America, but we're so antiquated even on the state level. So we don't just have a football coach. And this is the first coach in the history of Miami Northwestern where he was only going to be a contractual coach. And the school was good with that. The district had no problem with that. But you still have other requirements like the Justice for Lungford Act, and the reason that that's in place, and I have to follow that. I've done work in Duval County, working with educators up there, and I have to pass and do a background check on me. Just the fact that I'm going to see an educator on a consistent basis in the school, they have to do a background check on me. Those are some of the requirements that have to be met in order for you to be working in a school environment.
So you bring those things up, but to his own admission, Coach Bridgewater says that he signed no paperwork.
Correct.
What's your response to that?
Well, bad choice. The system is the system. We have another celebrity coach in Miami-Dade County, Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke. He signed all his paperwork. You can go at the college level. Dion, superstar, he signed his paperwork. Michael Vick, superstar, he signed his paperwork. Deshaun Jackson,
Delaware State.
Delaware State, he signed his paperwork. So America is based on contracts, whether they're expressed or implied. Everything is a contract. You made me an offer, I accepted it, I'm here, you made me a verbal contract. That's how America works. And people have to understand this to understand why the district is saying we need this paper, because they got to protect the majority of the schools in Dade County public schools. Because if you got a coach there that hasn't met those needs, then the school has a liability. So there are bigger things and other moving parts that emotionally our people sometimes forget because we want to win. We have that pride, we have that vigor. And so that was a bad choice. But again, that's Coach Bridgewater's choice. I don't want to speak on his behalf. I'm just, you asking me personally, would I have done it differently? Absolutely. I would have met the requirements to be the head coach at Miami Northwestern.
So, to recap, Coach Bridgewater goes on social media. You, among several other names, were mentioned. Allegations were made. You've stated how you feel about those. To sum up your reply, please provide proof. FHSAA issues an apology for what happened during the state championship. And for those who aren't familiar, obviously there were just too many people there. There weren't enough ticket takers, and people began jumping the fence. It became quite a scene. Then the tables turned very quickly, not even a month later, because now they're requiring information or requesting information from the school because of social media posts. And it's been just an interesting last several weeks. Where does Miami Northwestern go from here?
Well, we'll rebound very quickly.
And when you say rebound, can you detail what you mean by that? Because I don't want to assume.
Well, and I don't want to speculate, but I'm leaning that there will be some form of a sanction against us. I could be wrong, but given the nature of the relationship of Miami Northwestern's alumni and Florida High School Athletic Association after we demanded an apology letter, I'm quite sure they ain't sitting well up in Gainesville. But it is what it is. We had to do what was right for our people. You have to respect the people, the paying people.
But wouldn't those be considered two completely separate
come
things?
on, you know, we're talking about people here. Human nature says if I step on your foot and I don't apologize, I'm unapologetic. The arrogancy of this historical black high school who has now celebrating its 70th year. It's the longest reigning historical black school in Dade County. We're the only one that have never been pushed down to a middle school. Carver, pushed down to a middle school. Mays doesn't exist anymore, but it was pushed down to a middle school. North Dade, pushed down to a middle school. Dorsey, pushed down to a middle school. And there was a segment where Booker T was pushed down to a middle school and they brought him back. So we're the only high school in Dade County, maybe throughout the state, maybe Jones High is right along with us, that has, like I say, we're celebrating our 70th year this fall as a high school. The
Did
talent
you say Jones
level.
High?
Huh?
Jones?
No, we are, Miami Northwestern, are celebrating our 70th year as a high school.
Orlando Jones?
Yeah, I'm saying Orlando
okay.
Jones may be right there with us as far as time spent. I don't remember what year they started, but they're right there with us. But of course, Booker T was the oldest, the first black high school, but they pushed them down to a middle school. They never, Northwestern never did it. The Alumni Association was created to advocate for the school.
And would you say that's been your legacy, the advocacy?
Oh, absolutely. Let me give you an example. In the last 2 years, we've got the school completely painted. The school was, that building was resurrected in like 1996. Okay, here we are in 2025. We went down on the behalf and the bequest of the principal, at that time, Dr. Bridget Tate, another Northwestern grad, went to Ohio State, outstanding track athlete. The talent pool that comes out of Northwestern, you always going to be challenged. It's just so many educational people. You got Frederica at the federal level. I don't want to disrespect the Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. You got 2 board members. Both board members are Bulls. So those are the type of things that and people we produce. So we got the school painting. We had both girls and boys locker rooms renovated. We got the track program, a new track. We got the dry cleaning program, a new boiler so they can continue to teach laundry at the school. We got the blue and gold room, which is a cultural art where they teach special food and all that. New equipment in there. They just did a ribbon ceremony for the dental tech program. We advocated that through the night school program. So we have a dental tech. We have a CDL program that is in conjunction with Dorsey High School. So these are the things that the alumni is doing that people don't recognize. But here's where I want to stop the pause a second. Here's the one thing that really frustrates me. We'll see school this year, okay? We're the only school, high school in Dade County, well, the urban core, that got a C rating academically. We're not protesting about that. That troubles me because is our values so out of balance that we'll protest about the coach, but we won't protest about the school? Does the school need more funding? So these are the things that we have to balance as an alumni association.
And just for context, there was a protest on yesterday, Thursday,
Yes.
in support of Coach Bridgewater.
Well, I can go back farther than that.
Which contextually doesn't make any sense because he's not been fired.
No. You can't find nobody that was never hired.
So, to be clear, and I'm only asking for information, he's never been hired formally, but he's been implied.
He's been offered a job formally.
Correct. He just didn't sign certain paperwork.
He didn't follow the protocol of the state of Florida as well as Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
So based on his own social media posts, which were prompted by what exactly? Because they just seemingly came from nowhere.
I can't tell you.
And so if you couldn't, I couldn't either. And so those led to increase from the State Athletic Association. And then now there are meetings on top of meetings, politics. And so we sit here, you affirm that, Bull Nation will be fine. And the question I think everyone has is, why? Like, why? Why are we even dealing with any of this? Why are just the basics happening? Why were you called out? Why is Coach Bridgewater mentioning certain things behind the scenes? Why are people protesting, supporting? Why don't people understand basic rules about high school association? It's a very unique and a strange place. And the question is mainly rhetorical because I want to lead to basically saying and asking you this. In your experience, in your affiliation and association with the schools, and you mentioned the lack of, sort of ire of the school coming down to being a C. And just for those who aren't aware, that's A, B, C, D, E, F is the grading scale for the health of a public school. Okay. In your time period, have you seen confusion like this? Or I don't want to call it confusion, but have you seen sort of a time frame of sort of uncertainty like this? Or is this, I don't want to give it that much weight. We're still talking about athletics, but it seems kind of a unique period. But I'm not well versed in Dade County.
Every time there's a change at Northwestern with a football coach, our community got an opinion who should be the next coach. But
you've had 3 coaches in the past 3 years.
Those other, correct.
You may be facing having your 4th.
Correct. But is that the institution's fault on?
I place no blame. I'm just
saying. So, because our community rallies around football, it's almost like a class reunion. You go back, you see classmates. So it's very, that's the center of gathering
Sure.
for the Bulls. But you asked me why. It's simple to some. He's a well-known young man. And let me say this about him. A lot of people won't give me credit, and I'm not here for credit. I just want to speak truth. I nominated because, everybody has a right to nominate people.
Sure.
I nominated Teddy to be in the Hall of Fame. He's the youngest guy, the youngest person to ever be put into the Alumni Hall of Fame. We have a 10-year waiting period because the Alumni Hall of Fame is not predicated on what you did at the school. It's what you do when you graduate with public service work in the community.
And by all accounts, he's been tremendous.
Absolutely.
Giving away bikes during
Absolutely.
Christmas and Thanksgiving.
That's
coming
why,
back to be a community
and that's
coach.
why it was done.
He's been a model. That's why I
Absolutely.
say why, because it's confusing. This is confusing behavior based on his past. He's been remarkable.
Right, and we
as a young
that.
man in this community,
Absolutely.
NFL veteran,
right.
conducted himself honorably on and off the field. There been no issues.
Right. So I can't.
It's confusing. It's really mind-boggling.
I'm a business guy. I'm not a psychologist. I can't tell you why that type of thing happens. But what we're saying is, we've shown nothing but love from our organization for Mr. Bridgewater and what he's done. We recognized it. And that's why he was the youngest person ever nominated and voted, because I don't make that sole decision, voted on into the Hall of Fame.
Do you think you'll have a conversation with him, or have you already had a conversation with him since the post was made and all of this became very public?
We have not spoken.
So no reach outs either way?
Well, he made a post in a group chat that he created with certain individuals demanding information about an audit. That's out of my jurisdiction. I can't produce that information.
Because you're the head of a nonprofit, not
right.
As far as school concerned.
The way the school system works, it's just now closing its books. So until those final audits are done downtown, the school won't be dispersed the information until those audits downtown are completed. So it's his right to do that. I don't think the school would have pushed back on that request, but based on how the system works, they needed time to get that paperwork in. And in all fairness to Mr. Puka, let me backtrack a second too, because I don't want it to be perceived he's a bad principal. We missed a B by 1 point. So when you take over a hotbed like Northwestern, there's a learning curve. Even though he was there for about 6 years prior. Boy, when you sit in that seat, as I call the mayor of Liberty City, man, it's the toughest seat of any principal in Dade County, because you got so many political people you got to deal with, not talking about educating the students. So he did a great job under his first year. Will it get better? I got full confidence he'll turn it around. So by no means am I saying he's a bad principal. But the facts are the facts. I must be transparent, and we did miss it by 1 point. But my point is, we're not rallying around that, because I'm concerned about all children that go to Northwestern, not just one segment of the population. Right. And I've gotten favorable comments from parents that know me well, know my integrity. I've gotten calls all around the country. One of our top athletes, I'm not going to put him on blast, mother came up to me and said, "Hey, I know the alumni is good," and walked away. That's all I need. It's about the church. It ain't about me. I did this out of love. I'm not looking for no recognition. Yeah, I get recognition because I create problems for people sometimes, because I want everything those children sit in Miami Northwestern. I want the same level playing field as the child at Coral Gables, as the child at Miami High. That's what I'm about. I help other schools because of my advocacy, or the alumni advocacy as well. And I'm not going to be doing this much longer. As I told you earlier, I'm 69 years old. I got other things to do. I got my first granddaughter. I need to spend time with her to make her understand what she's up against. So I love it. I'll never give it up. But we got people, like I say, in Atlanta, up there. We trying to start another, or have started another chapter to do things to continue this legacy. And that's really what it's all about. We have, and I want to say this on behalf of the Alumni Association, we have the most diverse executive board in the history of Miami Northwestern. We have someone on the board from every decade except the 50s. Now remember, we opened the doors in fall of 1955. So we have somebody on the board for the 60s. We have somebody on the board from the 70s. We have somebody on the board from the 80s. We have somebody on the board from the 90s. We have somebody on the board for 2000. So we cover 6 decades of people on that board.
Your class of what?
Huh? I'm the class of 1974.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is one of the greatest classes. We just, well, the facts are the facts. We just donated $50,000 to the school.
Class of 74.
The class of 74, well, and set up an endowment.
Shout out to the class of 74 because, you know, they recently came and were at our church congregation, as you know, I'm a pastor. So I did get a chance to engage with some of them. And
very talented.
They are dynamic as an
very,
individual,
very talented
sort of
class.
off the topic,
Yeah.
but on the topic.
Right.
Let me close by asking you this. What are you most proud of out of all these years, all the times I've seen you on the sidelines of games and your engagement with various members of Miami-Dade County, state associations, state legislators, your vast knowledge, your time at Florida A&M University, your son that has come along. He's now a Power 4, college football coach. Your legacy in consideration of what you've done with the Alumni Association as a prominent Bull alumni, working with athletics and working for the school and being an advocate, developing I Care, the core schools, all of the things, the programs. What are you most proud of?
When Miami Northwestern was the first A school academically in the inner city. For years and years, it was portrayed like we was just a early pipeline to prison. And when we got the certification under the leadership of Wallace Aristide, who is now a state representative, that's my proudest moment, believe it or not. It's
in what year?
I can't give you the exact year right now. That had to be about between 2000, maybe 8 or 9, somewhere along in there, that he accomplished that. And believe it or not, if you notice, during that time, football-wise, we were kind of average for Northwestern because we had to do a reset, and we had to change the reset of the mind in the whole building.
Right.
Look, we're here to get an education. What good does it do if you made $50 million as a NFL player or a college player today and you can't read a contract? It makes no difference. So I don't care how great an athlete you are, you have to have that other component to make you a whole person. You can trust the attorney, that's your right, but you should be able to read for yourself with understanding. So that would be in my opinion, my greatest help to Miami Northwestern was to create a culture where we became an A school as academically, more so than athletic, because we know we'll be all right athletically.
And athletically, the Bulls will always be the talk of the town, always be the talk of South Florida, always be the talk of the football universe. And we just thank you so much for being super generous with your time, and thank you for illuminating certain things that are taking place even right now that, we may have not really gotten answers for otherwise. So we appreciate you sitting down with us. This is Football Hotbed. We are the nation's leader in national showcase football platforms to expose athletes to get to the next level. And we will continue to do that job. And as we go off the field, as different things and different topics affect football and the way it's played and the associations and athletics and academic around it, we'll sit down with various newsmakers, none more impressive than Mr. Larry Williams. Some 30 years, Miami Northwestern Alumni Association president, a community servant, an advocate, an Omega man, and my friend. This is Football Hotbed, signing off from Mr. Larry Williams. I'm Brandon Odoi. It's a Hotbed World.